morning. It's 9 o'clock, January the 25th, 2021, and our regular Commissioners Court meeting is now in session. First item on the agenda is roll call. Our County Clerk, Mary Jane Villalta-Noen.
Good morning,
Morning,
Judge.
Mary Jane.
Judge Resno,
Present.
Commissioner Mendoza,
Present.
Commissioner Elizondo, Commissioner Solis,
Present.
Commissioner Garza.
Present.
We have a quorum, Judge.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Next item is our invocation by Dr. Roger Miller, Commissioners Court Chaplain. Dr. Miller, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. You bow your heads with me as we pray this morning. Our Father, Creator of all, we gather this morning to participate in the important matters of directing the lives and the futures of your people. This court, our judge, commissioners, elected and appointed officials, come together this day seeking to make decisions which would benefit the greater good of this community. May they respond to your guidance as they evaluate each issue and each condition presented in this court. May they ask for and receive clarity when matters seem unclear, patience and tolerance when brevity is easier, wisdom and forgiveness when opposing opinions present themselves. May you grant our leaders health and strength of body, mind, and spirit for the tasks that lie ahead. And may they be assured of your help in this time at hand. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. See our fire chief, our communications commissioners. Of course, the main topic currently is the vaccine and vaccine distribution and allocations. Certainly been working with Mr. Fire Chief Arriaga and basically reaching out to everyone who can help us. I know the distribution has not been, our allocation has not been to our satisfaction. It's been frustrating. It's not, sometimes and the public has gotten some concerns. I was able to reach out to Dr. Crow, Region 11 Medical Director, and we were able to obtain an additional 200 doses for this week for the Zapata Primary Care Clinic. So Ms. Plattner will be administering 300 doses. Gateway Clinic also received an allocation of 100 doses. And then DSHS, Region 11, their clinic here, they will be doing the second dose of the vaccine, which is about 40 doses, 40 recipients, mainly first responders that received that dose in December. And speaking with Dr. Crow, she assured me and confirmed that Zapata County will be the priority county this coming week, the week of February, for the DSHS allocation. So it's to be determined how many doses we'll be receiving, but her plan is to work with our fire department and hopefully do a drive-through mass vaccination to the public, and we'll see how many doses the state allocates for her region. But they're coming this way next week. It's been slow, and I reached out to our state and U.S. representatives, and they were helpful in kind of correcting some of the allocation numbers that seems that Zapata County was receiving a certain amount of allocations when in fact those allocations were not coming our way. So that has been corrected. We will be receiving our allocations as the state, as they become available. And there will be, I think the pace will be picking up in the coming weeks, but certainly we seemed like we were left behind there for a while. It's not a good feeling, but after making clear of the Zapata residents deserve, the allocations that are entitled to them, they are coming. There will be a plane actually flying into our airport this afternoon, bringing the 200 additional doses to our county, to Ms. Plattner. So I think it's a good start, it's a good day. And I've been speaking to the other area providers, medical providers, our LMC clinic here. They're in the process of receiving an allocation, and they will be helping Zapata County residents. Daniel's Pharmacy has been their talks have been very productive, and they're trying everything they can to bring vaccines to Zapata. I see our fire chief walking in. And then also We got, I think, LMC Gateway will be receiving 100 doses. I spoke with Mr. Elmo Lopez, the CEO. He's gonna concentrate those 100 doses on those, tier one, first responders, medical personnel that, here from Zapata that haven't received their first dose. So Danny, you wanna step up, Danny, and I have been
Yes.
working,
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning,
Yeah.
Judge. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was in my office, getting everything ready for today.
I was just informing on the process, what the allocations this week, Danny.
Okay.
And, what it seems like for the coming weeks. I was telling the court that, speaking with Dr. Pro, the medical director for Region 11, she confirmed that she will be working with your, department.
Yes.
To hopefully make a drive-through this coming week and move from there. We don't know the number of doses that will be allocated to her region, but they will be coming this way.
Yes, we don't, I just got off the state actually with the state right now on a call, and, they told me that Region 11 is supposed to be getting 10,000 vaccines. That's for the whole region sometime next week. But we know how that goes. We've been getting, basically on a daily basis, it keeps on changing.
Yes.
But out of those 10,000, she said that they might get 750.
Right, that was a number that we talked about, that would be something that would not be overwhelming
Yes.
to our staff, but could certainly be of great benefit to our community.
Yeah, so Dr. Pro will be reaching out to me sometime this week, early this week, supposedly either today or tomorrow, and we're gonna start getting that aligned for next week.
Yes.
But that's the last I heard from the state.
Yes.
And I don't know where you were at right now.
Well, just that the state will be delivering the 200 additional doses to the county today.
Yes.
I learned that they will actually be flying them into our airport, and those will be going to Zapata Primary Care Clinic.
Yes,
Of course, the county's working in conjunction with Ms. Plattner, trying to coordinate the vaccine process. It'll be, I guess, by appointment. We have a meeting this afternoon. I think some of those issues might be cleared up now, we'll consider issues, but.
will be figured out
Yeah.
by this afternoon, because she's shooting for Wednesday. I spoke to her
Okay,
in regards to the Miss Tracy Humphries from LCC in Laredo. What we had spoken about the nursing staff that is willing to help us out. They've already done a trial one in Laredo of 200 vaccinations. And they did everything from the registering to the vaccinating to the input of MTRAC within 4 hours. So it was a smooth and easy operation. So they have the experience. The only background with them is that they can only do it for us on Fridays and Saturdays.
okay.
And the only issue is that I spoke to Mary yesterday. I told her that we had that at our disposal to help us out. And since they have the experience as far as reporting, because
Sure.
the main part is the reporting part. We have 24 hours to report those vaccines as when they're administered. The only issue with that was that, if Mary does get them today, she's shooting for Wednesday, because the sooner we can get those 300 vaccinations given, the sooner we can get another
Right.
allocation. So
We can't sit on, because
we
we
don't
won't
want
get
to sit on
another
those
allocation.
vaccines for a whole week
Yeah.
before we administer them. So she has a very good point there. So we will have to do what we can with the help we get here locally. I'm not sure we'll have people to help us out, but we will. I also spoke to the EMC in the South. He gave me also another example just to prepare, that they did a 300 vaccination drive, and they had over 60 staff helping out. And even like that, it was their first one, and they finished vaccinating at about 5 p.m., but as far as the reporting, they did not get out of there till like midnight. So it's just to prepare and be ready for that. Because even if it's a 300, we're gonna do it. It's just that we're gonna need the cooperation of a lot of people to help us
I
out.
think we'll be okay as far as volunteers.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
We got a good feedback, Judge, on that flyer that we put out to the community requesting, nurses to volunteer. I know that we're getting a lot of calls are coming in. So, I think we're ready for it. You know, we're just missing that missing piece of the puzzle, which is the actual vaccine.
Yes, yes. Mary and I both agreed, we will still, work on that contractual agreement with LC, with those students, because this is not gonna be a one-day thing or a one-time thing. We will be vaccinating eventually, once we start getting a steady flow of vaccines on a weekly basis. There will be days we will do it on Fridays and on Saturdays and on Sundays, or, we'll figure that out. But we will still be able to take advantage of these students in Laredo to help us out.
And I also have a contact, Judge and Commissioners, with STC, South Texas College. They've also expressed interest in helping us with the vaccine drive with their nursing students. So I'm working with them currently on that to set that
We
up.
mentioned to them that we're doing it this Wednesday, and I think we can use any help that we can, especially if they've had the experience already.
Yes, yes. I don't know if they've done anything. I have not spoken to LC.
I'm not sure.
I mean, to SCC, only LC, but I'll try and reach out to them today and see if maybe we can get them here
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
I'll get you the contact, Chief, so that
Okay,
you
you
can.
can get that for me, I'll get them. I also contacted the EMC for LaSalle in regards to a freezer, because they told me that one of the reasons why LaSalle has been getting a little bit more allocations because they've been getting the Pfizer vaccine.
Sure, those allocations come in 1,000
And
doses.
1,000, and those are the ones that need the sub-zero freezer. So they will be sending me the information today as far as where they purchased it, what was the amount, what's the capacity, the dimensions of it. They still have not received it. To my understanding, they had it, but they haven't received it yet.
Okay.
So they just
Yeah.
ordered it.
They just ordered it. They couldn't tell me on the top of their head the price or anything, but they're gonna forward me all the information today, and,
It'd
so
be
we
good
can-
to know. I did reach out to Gateway CEO, Mr. Lopez, to see if they had a freezer, sub-zero freezer, and they don't have one. And they
No.
don't plan on buying one. I don't know how expensive they are, but he's gonna try to go with the Moderna vaccine.
Moderna.
And he said they bought, added additional freezers, but those regular type freezers, so, LMC, I don't believe, they might have it at their hospital in Laredo, but they don't have it here at our clinic.
No.
So it's something that we may consider, Commissioner, but if the Moderna vaccine comes in at a good pace and we don't have to expend those funds, but we'll look at that and we'll visit with our area provider, see if.
We should look at it. The only thing he told me is that, that's, besides the freezing part, there is more to it with the Pfizer. It is more time consuming because you have to mix the vaccine, even aside from freezing it, and then you have to take it out at a certain time to get it ready to be administered, so it does take more time.
It's a little more complicated.
Yes, more complicated. You need more training for that one versus the Moderna. Moderna is very simple. That one does not have to be freeze or anything like that, but we'll look into it as an option as well.
Mr. Leon, I think, you've been working with Jose Alejandro from Tatum.
Yes.
He did mention that it's been his experience that in-person vaccinations, you almost have to allow for some of the residents or folks not being able to walk in and make arrangements to where we can vaccinate them in their vehicles, those that cannot
Yes.
enter the community center.
Mhm.
He said it was his experience to be able to have both options.
Both options, yes. They told me, they gave me also a learning experience that they had in Jim Hall County where they did a type of appointment type of scenario, but they did receive a lot of the 65 and over coming in, and they did see that they were having issues getting out of the car. So they were scrambling to get wheelchairs, and so I think we can do a combination of both. What we're
And those will be, I guess this afternoon we can have a discussion, but just for
Yes,
the
sir.
public, the main purpose will be that it'll be at the community center, the main
Yes.
vaccination
The
event.
main drive, the large one will be there. 'Cause-
And there will be hiccups. I mean, we've never done a mass
Yes,
vaccine distribution,
definitely.
so this is gonna be a learning
And we're
experience
learning,
for us.
and
So-
we're getting other people's experience and other people's, trial runs, and we're learning from their experiences, from their mistakes, and I guarantee you, we will have mistakes as well. People are gonna learn from our mistakes. But they're very adamant, Mr. Alejandro, too, as far as doing a drive-through. That, he told me we can steer clear of the drive-through to do it. Because, also, this is the one in LaSalle, they did one drive-through too, and they had major issues with the drive-through. And it was not a 1,000 vaccine drive-through. It was I believe he said a 200 vaccine
So,
drive-through. They were
yeah,
having
it's,
issues.
I think, we'll follow the plan that, we developed, this afternoon with, Ms. Platinum. And
Yes.
I think, we'll see, I think it'll go well.
That'll be a good trial run.
And everything has its pros and cons, even with doing a vaccination, a controlled vaccination drive indoors, because we go back to having people in a confined space, but as long as we do not, our capacity there is so much, as long as we do not reach, the 50%, we have the space to space them out and, give that 6 feet distance with their masks. But like I mentioned, everything has its pros and cons, you know.
Yeah.
But it's the same as the testing, they're doing it inside, you have all the people going in,
Right,
so
sure.
I think we should be fine as long as, everybody wears their PPE, all the volunteers. I do have a trip to Laredo today to bring a large shipment of PPE, but just for the drive, just for the vaccination itself, aside from what I have for
Okay.
the agencies here in
And,
Zapata.
and Mr. Alejandro has been very helpful
Yes.
in that respect on the PPE.
Yes, sir. He also, before I forget, Judge, he told me he reached out to Ms. Cuellar, which is as far as the reimbursement.
Oh, yes, the COVID.
Yes, she reached out to her and she said that everything is looking fine, and sometime along this month, there was some missing information, but that the county was very rapid in responding to sending them that information, and that we're looking at about 2 to 3 weeks for
And on
the,
the reimbursement
for the
issue for our
reimbursement.
funds,
But
we've been
there's-
holding up.
that there's nothing wrong, no issues, it's just, it's taking a little
It's
while,
taking
but as
time.
far as, not to worry about any issues.
I appreciate his help in that. I did reach out to him and say that it was imperative that we receive
Yes, it
those
is.
funds back to the county. We need those funds. We, don't have limited resources, and we've expended a lot of our general fund. And those, they've been sitting there for 6, 8 months already, so it certainly,
And it is a significant amount, Judge, about 600,000?
I think a little over $600,000 that are due to the county. So we are hopeful and pressing them to release it. And like I mentioned to Mr. Alejandro, the county did hire a consultant to
Yes.
help us with the process, which I think is helpful. And, so we don't have any major issues, we just haven't received the funds. And we
He
just haven't
said
been-
that on the county side, there's no major issues, other than some missing information that was, asked for early this month. But the county was very fast in responding back and giving that information, so as far as on the county side, that we're good, there's nothing to worry on our side, it's just the time allotment.
The
But
process.
she said that we're looking anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks by the time we receive
That's a
those
good
funds.
timeline, we can certainly wait.
At least we have a timeline now.
Yes.
Yes, also, just very quick, I did submit the list again, I've been resubmitting the list of the tier 1A, missing, people that we have in our county. Gateway has it, DSHS has it, we have it, Mary has it as well, so.
You have a number more or less, Chief, on how many individuals that is?
Mine list is a little over 200, about 230, tier 1A,
That haven't been
that
vaccinated.
haven't been vaccinated. So I'm guessing, with, what we're getting through Mary, through Dishes, through Gateway, we will knock out most of them. I'm hoping we will. Another issue, and Jose Alejandro was supposed to give me clarification this afternoon, is that, like everything else ever changing on a daily basis, the tier 1A also has been changing. They will be adding more people to that tier 1A. He's gonna give me more clarification this afternoon.
Okay.
And, so we can
So
talk
they
it
were
over.
considering adding teachers, I believe? to that?
Teachers, law enforcement, because law enforcement, as silly as it sounds, and I do not agree with it, I believe that they are frontliners as well, and they're not in the list, period. But they will be adding, JPs, since they do the inquests on the UOSs when they do their inquest. They have big, law enforcement, but frontline law enforcement, not administrative staff, not cooks, or, for example, but at the frontline, meaning they have to be on
Sure.
the streets. And,
Actually, patrol.
jailers,
Patrol
yes.
officers.
But he's gonna give me clarification on that, because if we do get it clarified today, and it is the case, they will have to be as part of the list on tier 1 as well. But I'll try and get clarification this afternoon before we start vaccinating what we're gonna get.
Chief, I know that a lot of people, it's probably live on YouTube, and we're probably gonna get a lot of calls after the meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
So on Wednesday, if we get the vaccine, it's actually, most of them are gonna go to the frontliners, most.
If I get the clarification today and it is that way, yes.
Okay.
Yes, because as it is, the list that I had, without counting those, it was over 200. Now, if we add those new, tier 1 people to that list, it will be well over 300.
Gateway, Mr. Lopez is gonna concentrate totally on the
Yes.
tier 1.
Yes,
So
and he has the
100
list
from
as
Gateway
well.
will be going to all those first responders and nurses
And I spoke to
medical
Ms.
personnel.
Solis with BSHS as well this morning before I came here, and I told her the same thing, we need to concentrate on the tier 1A. She has the list, so I told her if you can help us in any way with those as well.
For this week, with DSHS, there was an allocation, according to the dashboard, the website, for the state allocation of 100. I spoke with Dr. Pro, and she said her staff is bringing up only the 40 vaccines for the second dose,
Yes.
of the original, get back in December. I asked her for the additional 60 to bring, and that way, that could also help, alleviate some of the 200 vaccines that we
Yes.
need. I think the public is restless, and rightly so. Many, especially the elderly, are calling on a daily basis, wanting to be able to get vaccinated. So hopefully we can get as many as we can this week, and get the vaccine process moving.
And this is a problem happening statewide. I mean,
Statewide,
all
I've seen
communities
that.
are having these
Yes,
issues,
sir.
getting these vaccines on
Yes,
the
sir.
ground. So, of course, our responsibility is to Zapata County, and we're working on that daily.
Yeah.
But it's not just here. I
No.
mean, it's happening statewide.
It's happening statewide. They did assure us that, this is what they said, that by next week, their main focus will be Zapata. That's Region 11. So, we are hoping to get upwards of about 750 next week. But it's not a guarantee, it's nothing confirmed yet, but that's.
Don't worry, I will hold it.
I don't, but, yes, that's what we've been told, that next week for sure, their main priority is gonna be Zapata County.
Judge, do we know how many people have pre-registered in your office for that?
Monica, do you have a number of?
Yes, I believe it's 1,200.
It's 1,200 folks registered on the list that we're helping the local clinics with, and the majority are those folks that are 65 and over. So yes, there's quite a few, and if we could, between this week and next week, we could possibly alleviate and help
Yeah.
most of those
If we
residents.
can get those 750, that'll knock out a big chunk of
Yeah,
this.
And of course, hopefully, the other providers will be receiving some allocation, as well as the secondary allocations to those Gateway and
Yes.
Ms. Planner that I've already received. So I think if we can certainly knock out that list soon, and vaccinate all those folks. And the list will keep growing. I think they keep calling. Monica and Roxy and have been working around the clock, 8 hours a day, answering phones. But I think it's a partnership between the private and public. We're trying to help Ms. Planner alleviate some of the work for her staff.
Yes.
So I appreciate what they're doing. It's a lot of work. The reporting is troublesome, it's cumbersome. So it's a lot of work for the providers. I did yesterday, and I think you have received that email, Danny, on the state's request that adult care providers and home health care providers also request being on the list of state-approved providers. And that would also help bring in some additional allocations.
Yes,
Have you made contact with any,
with the adult home health, yes.
and they are trying to get on the list as providers?
Yes, I mean, the thing is that we cannot force them, but I do have a list of all the qualified providers in the county, and they're,
Yeah, I did urge them
And we have-
to make the application.
We
and
reached
then
out
help.
to them as soon as I got that list. I got that list about a month ago, and we did reach out to each and every one of them and ask for their support and cooperation, because the more providers we have on, approved providers in the county, the more allocations we can get from those vaccines.
Also, the fire department, fire chief, has been working on, also the fire department being a provider.
Yes.
We're on a pending list. Our medical provider has been in the hospital, unfortunately.
We already got the signature, Judge. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Yes.
I stressed that yesterday to
Yes.
Mr. Alejandro.
Yes.
So that has been taken care
We got
of.
it signed, that was the only thing that was pending for our entity, but it's still under pending, but that was the only thing pending, the.
Very good.
the
Okay.
signature. So
So
we're just
that-
waiting on getting the approval, which should be within the next couple of days.
And I believe the school district was also applying to
They
get
were
provided.
notified as well, Mr. Gonzalez, okay, did reach out to give him the info as far as, to signing up as a provider, and I submitted that about 2 weeks ago. So they do want to help out.
Well, they have a lot of employees, so that'll
Yes.
definitely make a good impact on the population.
Yes, and if they do get approved providers, they can help out in the sense that they start with taking care of their folks, but following the tiers as well.
Right.
Not just like the teachers because they're not in that tier yet, but if they were to get anytime soon, they can take care of their staff, and then after that, they can start in the community as well. So it is a help, regardless of any way they see it. It is still a help, because it will alleviate traffic from Mary Plattner's side, it will alleviate traffic from Gateway, so eventually everybody
So
starts.
the more
getting-
vaccines we get here on the
Yes.
ground, the better for the community, they'll have more options
That is
where they
correct.
can go.
Chief, I heard about that, they have to wait at least 90 days if they have had the COVID to get the vaccine, right?
That,
How does
that, that,
work?
that is also ever changing, because that's what, the SHS, I cleared it because I had nine of my guys were positive. It's already been more than 10 days since they got their negative, and the SHS, what they asked is 10 days. That's the SHS. So they will be able to get the second round, even though they were positive about 15 days ago. I called, Gateway, because Gateway reached out to me as far as how many more from my staff did I need vaccinated, because when we did the first time, we were missing 3. One of them, Mr. Talamante, he was in the hospital, another gentleman was out of town. So, but out of those 3, one of them was positive. So I had to let them know, and they said they're doing the 90 days. So he's not gonna be able to get it until 90 days after his last.
So Gateway is following the 90-day rule.
Gateway's doing 90 days, the SHS is doing 10 days. So it just depends on the entity you go with, and they have their own restrictions.
And we'll have to decide what rule we follow with our provider.
Yes, yeah.
Chief, I have a
On
question,
it.
Mr. Gonzalez, I don't know if you talked to, about the VA for the veterans. If probably call Laredo, maybe we can get the veterans to go to Laredo and get their vaccines over there. Are they
I
offering
have
them
not
to the
spoken to
veterans?
Mr. Gonzalez, but
Commissioner, I spoke to the VA, when you called me, and they are calling up the veterans as, they're starting off from the oldest, and they're calling them up. They have to be registered through the VA, and that's a process that they'll be following. So we have veterans that are not registered. They will not be called through the VA, but they're working on that, but it's gonna be a longer
Sure.
process.
I did speak to several veterans, and they told me they had appointments,
Right,
with
so
the VA.
they're
So-
calling them up and they're
Yeah,
scheduling the
right.
appointments.
So that's good, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
if anybody has any more questions for me.
Thank you, Chief Mesa. I know you've been working
Thank you.
20-hour days, but Chief Mesa, Chief.
No, but
They're used to saying messages.
yeah, that's what we work for. I just, the only thing I ask is that, the Commissioners Court, bear with me. This is something, a whole learning experience for everybody, because nobody can say they've been through a pandemic. But, I think for the most part, we're doing a great job. We're doing what we need to do. Everything that needs to be done has been done. As far as the weight, it's something that everybody's going through. It's not that
It's out of our hands.
It's out of our hands. It's not because the county has dropped the ball in figuring out paperwork or not doing their part in any way. That is not the case. We are doing everything we need to do, and we've done everything we need to do. We are totally prepared for this, for vaccinating. It's just that,
But I think it is important that we continue to make our case in need. Our area is, if you count it, Laredo is probably the worst in the
Yes.
nation.
Yes.
So we need to, completely, every time I speak to somebody in the state, I make them realize how important vaccines are here because of our situation.
it is, Judge.
And so
because
we'll continue to make that effort, that stressing the importance.
we cannot stop, calling them, because that's what's gonna take. That's what it took this time to get that first allocation. Well, not the first one, but the second one. But it's like I stress out to the state when I call them, as far as whatever's going on in Laredo does affect us, because the hospitals are overwhelmed, so that affects our constituents here, because they don't have the services they desperately need. So Laredo's issues are our problems as well.
Yes. And we just need to continue to
Yes.
remind them. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the other.
All right, thank you, Judge. Before I leave, I just wanted, whenever we get to the action items, I have, really 2 action items, if they could be brought up to the top. because
Okay,
I
yeah, we'll
have
start
to-
with them.
I have to
Okay.
need
So you can,
yes, we're gonna get the second round for the guys and
Yes.
to help them out.
well, we'll just, go through the invoices. As soon as we get to the action items, I'll call you.
Okay.
All right. So just, can you wait a few minutes? Maybe
Yes, sir.
5, 10
Yes,
minutes?
yes.
Okay. Any other communication? Not, we'll move on to public comments. This section provides the public the opportunity to address the Commissioners Court on any items on the agenda. The public, we'll move on to item number 6, approval of invoices. We have in your package, Commissioners, invoices from January the 8th, 2021 through January the 21st, 2021 for a total of $882,936.98. Motion by Commissioner Garza to approve, seconded by Commissioner Mendoza. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Item number 7 is approval of checks issued, and we have in your package checks from 1/8/2021 through 1/21/2021.
Motion to approve as presented.
Okay,
Second.
for a total of $882,936.98, the exact amount. So motion by Commissioner Mendoza to approve, second by Commissioner Garza. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We move on to the action items. We will deliberate and consider action on item, 16, to pay outstanding invoices approved on October 26, 2020 in the amount of $35,426.50 from the tobacco fund due to a delay in the release of COVID funds. I know this was, equipment for your new ambulance?
This is equipment for the new ambulance, just the reason why we are asking for if we can, get it approved for the tobacco fund, and because of the delay with the COVID funds. Because of that unit, I have it parked, I cannot use it, we've had it for
Yes,
weeks.
Chief Arriaga, visited with me and I said that would, to expedite, the purchase.
Yeah, we can later on reimburse it.
Yes,
to the
yes.
account. So I'll make a motion that we approve the request.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mendoza to approve the request, second by Commissioner Garza. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 17 is to request a transfer of $20,000 from the tobacco fund to repairs and maintenance for ambulance, and it's 10-543-457.
Motion move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Mendoza. Any discussion? And just for the record, there are over $209,000 in the tobacco fund, so we have the money to fund it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge, I think, there should be 190, because last time we used the 20,000.
For supplies, that is correct.
Okay, so since the 2 weeks, this is the last thing.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that it? Okay, thank you, Chief
Thank
Arriaga.
you, Chief.
We'll move to item number 9. Commissioners, item number 9 is to consider proposal to create 4 airborne inspection isolation rooms at the Zapata County Regional Jail. It's a duplicate. I spoke with Sheriff Del Bosque last week, and he also submitted the item, so we'll wait for, so no action on this one, Commissioner. It is a duplicate. Item number 10 is to select a project site for submission to the 2021-2022 Texas CDBG Community Development Fund. Commissioners, at last meeting, we did select consultants for these projects, but for these funds, I guess in this meeting, this can serve as a workshop to select a project for the CDBG. We actually came to find out, Commissioners, that we do not have a project for either the CDBG or the Polonia for the 2021-2022. So
Which were the 2 streets that we had approved at the last meeting for precinct 3?
it was Cardinal and Crane. So those would qualify as for CDBG. Basically, CDBG is, and I see Mr. Zambrano in there, and he can help us with, the priorities are water, sewer. I think paving also is considered a tier 1 priority. So we
So
won't lose
that-
any points if we select projects within those 3 entities, but if we select something else, we may not.
So that previous project that we had awarded for those 2 streets, it didn't go through?
That was in 2019, and we had, it was not approved due to some errors we had in previous grants. We had several grants that were delinquent, several projects that were delinquent. Those have been corrected since then, but because of that, it was not approved at that time.
Judge, I want to make a motion that we resubmit for Cardinal and Crane and precinct 3.
I think those, motion by Commissioner Mendoza to select Cardinal and Crane Streets as a CDBG project.
Second by Elizondo.
Seconded by Commissioner Elizondo. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 11 is to select a project site for submission for the 2021-2022 Texas CDBG Colonia Construction Fund. And of course, Grant Works was selected as a consultant for this fund. Thank you, Mr. Zambrano, for being here. And maybe you can approach the court and tell us what priority you would consider.
Mr. Zambrano, under this grant, drainage improvements would qualify.
Yes.
So arroyos would qualify.
Yes, as long as, well, first of all, the priorities are first time water and sewer.
Right.
And drainage is also considered, and streets.
Okay.
And the maximum amount is $1 million.
The reason I'm asking is because I know that especially precinct 1 and 4, we have a lot of issues with arroyos in our precincts. So if there's a way that those projects would qualify, under this grant, I know there's not a whole lot of competition on these types of grants because of the specifications of the grants, that they have to be within the Colonia,
Yes.
areas as designated by the state. So I know we won't get as many points if we were to apply to, I just don't know that we have any unpaved streets or anything else that,
Well, I mean, we've got unpaved streets, but as far as first-time
Yeah, it
water
would
and
be
sewer,
first-time water and
I
sewer, yeah.
don't think we.
Well, the thing is, one of the things that happens is that a lot of times, there's not enough applications. So whatever you submit for will be approved.
right.
So, and this happened the last time. As a matter of fact, Jim Hall County applied for only one grant. They could have applied for more than one. They applied for $400 and some thousand, and they were approved. And there was funds left over from the funding source. So that's why I'm saying that, you may have a couple of.
Can we apply for sewer or they were for drainage and paving at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do multiple projects.
And Commissioners, we don't, this is kind of be like a workshop, I think we don't have to make a decision today on this.
Right.
So
I guess
it's
we
something
can-
that, I wanted to put it on so we, as a court, we could consider, especially for the Colonia, things, what our priorities might be within those parameters of, water, sewer, streets, maybe drainage, and see, and this can be anywhere in the county, but it has to be an established Colonia.
Yeah.
And the majority of our county is a Colonia, but we've done very well as a county, you know, establishing first-time water and sewer, so we basically got everybody hooked up on water and sewer.
I guess, all of us can maybe put together our priorities and then kind of bring it.
If I may, sir, the application is due May the 3rd.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that have to happen before the application is submitted, so as soon as you can with the workshop for the,
So for next meeting, I think we should,
Yeah.
in 2 weeks, we should be able to decide, Commissioner.
Yeah, I think we can identify our areas, Judge, within 2 weeks.
Okay.
Mr. Zambrano, can we each have an area, maybe work all together, it has to be
Yes,
one precinct?
no, no.
Um,
If you-
Oh, yeah,
if you-
Because I know that, Judge, you see Valle Verde, how it gets funded really bad, maybe.
Oh.
And that will qualify the drainage for
Yes.
project, Commissioner?
So we can do several projects with the same money.
the same money, yes, so there's a total of $1 million.
Yeah, so every precinct could identify a needy area and actually submit it for that.
And if you like this to be.
And it's
your
up to $1 million,
workshop-
so I mean, that's a lot of money for us to not miss out on that opportunity, if we can find something that will qualify.
Yes, that's the reason I brought it up.
Okay.
Thank you
Sounds good,
so
we'll
much.
have something
Thank
for
you.
the next meeting.
Okay, so motion to table, Commissioner?
Motion to table, Judge.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mendoza to table, second by Commissioner Garza, and we'll continue with development of the project priority. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 12 is to approve payment to Zapata County Chamber of Commerce for the Bass Champs Fishing Tournament host fee and other expenses associated with fulfilling host obligations.
Judge and Commissioners, in your packets, you'll have the invoices. The host fee for the tournament is $3,500, and our other contractual obligation is the hotel rooms for the tournament staff, which comes out to $799.90.
It was a successful tournament, Ron?
Very successful tournament, Judge. We had over 120 boats that came in, and of course, they always enjoy coming here to Zapata and fishing on Falcon Lake,
So
so.
the total is $799.
$4,299.90.
Okay.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Garza to approve, second by Commissioner Solis. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Item number 13 is to approve the creation of a new CSI Technician Assistant position to be added to Department Fund 402, Fund 10, salary to be funded from the Corona Relief Fund monies allocated to Zapata County. Commissioner Mendoza.
Judge and Commissioners, I bring this item before you, because I genuinely feel that there is a need for this position. I know, we had an experience most recently where our CSI technician was out for 2 weeks due to sick leave. During that process, our time clocks went down at the county shop. Equipment here in this room for our meetings went down. Other departments have technical needs as well.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that it is efficient for us to run any one-person departments in any department in the county, because, we need to be able to continue to operate. So it is important, especially right now with everything going on, everything is relying on technology, on internet and all that. I think it's important for us to have one of our technicians here during the meeting, during the duration of the meeting, and, you know, in case something happens with our equipment. So I know that this is a justifiable expense, Judge. The only thing would be that, if it is approved, we would have to fund it in the budget for next year
Yes.
as a position.
What you're trying to tell us, Commissioner, is it's gonna be a new hiring position.
Right.
After 1 year, the county's gonna be taking
Right.
over.
Right.
Well, we're gonna pay for it from the get-go if it's approved.
I understand for 1 year.
Yeah, I
But
think.
on October, we're gonna create the.
Another position. We're gonna have- we'll have-
Add it to the budget.
Yes.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be possible, Commissioner, we just hire somebody as contract as needed?
It's not cost effective, Commissioner. We used to do that before we hired Renee as a full-time employee. It's very costly. And you also have to wait for them to be available and be able to make the trip out. So within that process, or you can wait days before somebody can come out here and actually do the service.
I think, you know, COVID, virus changed everything, how we work, just our daily lives completely changed. And we did run into a problem a month ago or 3 weeks ago with Mr. Garcilaso, who does an excellent job for us, but at certain times, he is overwhelmed because.
What
he is
would be
large
the
county.
salary, Commissioner?
I'm
So,
sorry?
What would be the salary for this position?
I'm recommending a salary of $15 an hour, Commissioner. I don't think we'll be able to find a qualified technician for anything less than that. So that would be about a $30,000 salary a year.
Plus the
Benefits.
benefits.
you're looking at $40,000.
So, and I know and I did work the numbers with Nelly, since the year has already started, if we were to approve this, for this year, we're looking at about $24,000 with benefits to fund it for the remaining, for this remaining fiscal year. So, Judge, I mean.
And then we would advertise.
Yes, you would have to advertise for 2 weeks and get applications, so being that I think it is an important and needed position, Judge, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve item number 13.
I'll go ahead and second the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Mendoza, seconded by Commissioner Solis. I did reach out to, Mr. Rene, and, we reached out to Rene. He does, and we've had this conversation before. Last year, we thought about adding a position in the budget, and he says he could do it on his own. He realizes now that he does need help because of the situation. He came down with COVID, a lot of us are coming down. So he left the county in a vulnerable position for those 2-3 weeks that he was out. Things happen, so I think it's important, that we add this position. So, I mean, I'm in favor of not having a one-person department, you know, but our resources are very limited, and that's why we had a one-person department. But I did reach out to him. He's okay. The only thing he asked me is that he be given a chance, and of course, it's up to the court who we hire, but given a chance to review the applicants and then make his recommendation as to who he would prefer to work with. That was his request to me, and I think that's a fair
That's a
request.
fair request, I
Yeah,
think.
so, we've got a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Would that technician be also available for us at the sheriff's?
Yes, it's countywide,
Yes.
you know, if Mr. Garcilaso is available to you, and, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
sure. I mean, the county, the number of computers and departments the county runs for one person, Judge, is overwhelming to rely on one person for
I
that.
mean, that's stealing from our phones to computers
Everything.
to everything.
Yeah, everything, yeah, and then it takes care of all our phone systems, all our computers, all our networking.
he's got a huge job, and he does it, but, people get sick, people take leave, and then things happen, and we're so dependent on the technology now, we just can't.
So we can, revisit with them and, let them know how our 911 system works.
Mhm.
And some of the times our phones shut down and we take calls from Stark County and Jim Hall, to help them as a backup.
Yes,
So
no, absolutely, we
be on the
want
same
these
page.
resources to be utilized by every department.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sure. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Reno, I guess you'll advertise, and, I guess sit down with Renee as to the qualifications he would prefer, for that position. And it's $15 an hour. Okay, starting
Are
pay.
you gonna call for the question, Judge, or?
Did we vote on this?
No, we haven't.
Oh, I'm sorry. So all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
We're all in favor, okay, thank you, Commissioner Zarella.
Judge, on number 12, can we revisit 12? It's not stated here and I didn't hear, is it supposed to be from the hotel multiple?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah, it's from the hotel motel. And there are funds available in the hotel motel. Item number 14 is to review and consider modifying the current Zapata County Cemetery policies and procedures.
Judge, due to this item being consistently tabled, it comes back on the agenda. Mr. Salinas was gonna be working with neighboring communities to come up with figures for us. He's not here today. So I'll ask the court to table it one more time.
I'll make a
get those
motion to
figures
table it.
myself for the next meeting.
Just an update on our cemetery, of course, it is unfortunately filling rapidly. We did purchase 3 acres a couple of years ago. They have been restaked to identify our property corners. I think I asked Mr. Mendoza to clear that area, Commissioner. And then we'll be coming back and seeing how we can assign an engineer to plot the whole cemetery. I think, speaking with Mr. Gonzalez, there's I think room for maybe 750 to 1,000 plots in those 3 acres. And then we can see how we can go about it, maybe acquiring more land if we need to.
I think we
But
should, Judge. I think we should.
certainly, yeah, it keeps growing. People keep purchasing those plots, so the treasurer made it stress to me how the number of available plots have diminished rapidly.
Judge, I'll second the motion for item number 14 to table.
Motion to table
With Garza Mendoza.
by Commissioner Garza, seconded by Commissioner Mendoza. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion tabled. Item number 15 is to approve invoice for Imelda's Tuxedo for the amount of $344 to be paid from line item 10-004-310.
Make a motion.
Judge,
This was
just for the record, it's not tuxedo, it's a mask.
It's
Oh,
under
okay,
discretion.
they're masked.
It's out of your discretionary funds, Commissioner?
Yes.
I'll make the motion to approve, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Solis, I
Okay,
think
I'll
he needs to
second.
do it, second by Commissioner Mendoza. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 18 is to request proposals for Zapata County Library roof repairs and allow Manuel Gonzalez, Premier Engineering, to prepare the specifications for the project. So we hire first, Mr. I know we need roof repairs. I think,
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. In speaking with Mr. Gonzalez, he did meet with an architect for this project. And there are significant tears to the membrane of that roof. It is a flat roof and we will continue to have
We have the worst
leaks
luck
and-
with roofs on our buildings.
Yes, we do.
So within this item, we can hire Mr. Gonzalez to provide these services for us, or do you have a separate item for that?
No, I don't. He was supposed to be here. I'm pretty sure maybe he's probably just running late.
Okay.
But he is supposed to bring in some sort of
Can we come back to
specifications.
it, Judge?
yes, we can we'll recall item number
18.
Item number 19 is to allow HR department and IT department to enroll in the 2021 TAP Certified Cybersecurity Training Course to fulfill requirements set in the Texas Government Code 2054.519 and to remain in compliance with the Texas Department of Information Resources.
Motion to
DIR.
approve, Judge.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mendoza, second by Commissioner Solis. Any discussion? Nelly, what are we gonna do with this?
This one, this is an annual cybersecurity training that our employees must take if they use have internet access or computer access to any government.
And it is a requirement for.
So,
Yes, and it is
so it's everyone in the
required by-
county just about?
In the courthouse, yeah, except Road and Bridge guys.
Except one of the, okay. And this will be
Even
taking
elected
place,
officials.
you'll be announcing where it's gonna be taking place, or?
What we did last year was a link was sent to everybody's emails.
Okay, and we can do it on our own time.
And you can do it on,
Okay.
it
That's
doesn't take
perfect,
long,
yeah.
it's about
That we don't have to
10
gather.
15 minutes.
Very good,
Okay, and then we
okay.
get a certificate approved.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 20 is to approve the hire of Valdemar Cantu as water plant operator, slot 11, at $16.10 an hour, effective February the 1st, 2021.
Motion move.
Mr.
Second.
Trevino, motion by Commissioner Garza, go on, Mr. Trevino. And,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Mendoza. I think you were short on operators, and Mr. Cantu is an experienced operator. Very good.
Yes.
He brings his, B license.
Very good. So we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 21 is to approve the hiring of Mark Chapa at distribution slot number 22 at $9.48 an hour, effective January the 25th, 2021. Commissioner Garza makes a motion, second by Commissioner Solis. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 22, to approve the transfer of Rodolfo Guerra distribution slot 20 at $9.48 an hour to water plant maintenance lot 27 at $11.80 an hour, effective January the 8th, 2021.
February
February the 8th, 2021, I'm sorry.
Motion made.
Motion by Commissioner Garza, seconded by Commissioner Mendoza. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 23, to approve the transfer of Jesus Gonzalez Jr., distribution slot number 6 at $9.55 an hour to water plant operator in training, slot number 31 at $9.98 an hour, effective January the 25th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mendoza, seconded by Commissioner Solis. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Mr. Trevino, how things at the water plant?
Well, that's good, just the distribution, we have a lot of leaks.
Yeah, I had some leaks with the weather, right, the cold weather, or?
Exactly, it's,
Coming.
especially on the bigger lines, like on the 12-inch lines, like, we're in addition.
Yeah.
So, and then we have another leak that just popped up, on Highway 83, which,
Those lines are notorious for leaking, especially under the asphalt, under streets.
Mr. Gonzalez Triunfo, you mentioned that, maybe that Colonia grant would, maybe replace or repair water lines.
Yes, and talking with, Ms. Oralia.
That's another option,
The
yeah.
grant works, one of the other options, except you just don't get as many points, for it as, first-time water sewer. But we could do, existing water lines, repairing, redoing existing water lines, sewer lines,
Lift stations?
lift stations. We could also be in conjunction with other water districts here also, kind of
We
sponsoring.
can help, other water districts also, MOUs, Central Shores Water District, some of the water districts. So there's a lot of avenues that we could, apply with, so.
You know.
But I think maybe you might wanna look at some of your issues, or your primary issues that you're having, and maybe the court can, maybe include some of those projects for consideration.
And I had talked to Mr. Trevino, was last week, when I found out, just so happened that I saw him and we discussed that about. being
That's
able
very good,
to
yeah, that's-
Identify, lift stations or, water lines that need to be replaced.
Mr. Trevino, I know San Ignacio is always having problems with some of these also, because I always have residents call me that there's a very bad odor.
yes, ma'am.
I know the
That
guys
stems from
that go
the lift
there.
stations, it's just, equipment's pretty old, there are problems and stuff, so that's, we're working on trying to get some new equipment there, for sure.
And we have made some improvements. I know we allocated funds last budget year, Judge, and we were able to replace some motors on some of those, lift stations.
Yeah, the number of lift stations is incredible, 30 some, I
We
think.
use a lot of repairs, it's pretty,
Yeah.
pretty bad days on them, so, we're looking at purchasing some.
And those are crucial, so it's important that they're
Yes.
running.
Yes, sir.
I would, try to see how much, the cost of actually, not repaint, but kind of redoing the lift station would be, and maybe that would be a consideration for the court to say, let's try to get the funding and repair
Yes,
or
the
replace.
station's good, what we're talking about more would be like the pumps,
Yeah.
and submersible, and, we're talking about.
And those pumps are expensive, that, say that up 20,000-30,000 each, and so I know it's
Yeah,
expensive.
so we're talking about 2 pumps per lift station.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Well, get some ideas, and maybe in 2 weeks you can approach the court with some of your concerns, and maybe we can include that in the application.
Yes, sir.
And, Mr. Trevino, Ken Paxton, his website, there's a Colonia database, and it shows a map of all of Texas, and you can zoom into Zapata, County, and it has all the areas that are, considered, colonial, or designated as colonial.
Basically the entire county, I think, most.
Yeah, there's certain parts that, you
They're
know, you
not,
think that
but-
would be and they're
yeah.
not, but pretty much the whole county, but they're just,
Yeah.
you gotta just double check. I know we
Or
went into a
Gonzalez-
situation once where, a couple of years ago, that we thought it was and it wasn't, it's just that everything around it was, but that area wasn't, so we
Right.
just have to double check.
Okay, all right. We're talking about, our engineer who helped, not the county engineer, but an engineer who does a lot of work for the county, Premier Engineering, about the 2021 Colonia fund application and possibly what projects could be considered. Mr. Zapata was here, and basically there's a wide array of projects, mainly first-time water and sewer, and some drainage projects that the commissioners are considering, but it's kind of we're kind of a workstation, workshop, whatever we're doing.
On the first-time water and sewer, and probably Mr. Gonzalez already mentioned, we've covered a big area of the county already.
Yes.
With first-time water and sewer. There's probably still a few areas that we can maybe explore, but, we have to look at what areas might be within the Colonia. If it's a Colonia one, it has to be on there, but, and that makes it sometimes a challenge, because you look at the area and you know it qualifies for low to moderate income, housing, and
Yeah.
so if you did a survey, house-to-house survey, it would definitely qualify as a Colonia, but it's not in the database, and it makes it difficult to qualify it. But, yeah, that's
Yeah.
they get more points, but a lot of the communities, this program has been going on for many years, so a lot of communities are running out of water and sewer projects that are still considered colonias, because all the new, developments are no longer colonias. So there may be possibility to go with, another avenue is like, another community has a lot of need for drainage improvements.
Drainage, Mr. Trevino was saying the need for lift station, repairs and refurbishing, so I don't know
Well, I'm not sure how many, I guess there's a possibility, but since you already have the service, it's more like, if they're giving you a grant, I'm not sure if they'll consider that as,
It'd be a reach, I guess
as a
we'd be
main-
very
but-
creative.
But it may fall also under the fact that if other communities aren't really applying, and we do, we might get the opportunity there. So there's something.
The program's been very successful, so all the colonias in Texas, they're in the same situation we're in, where.
The majority have already.
It's been successful, yeah. It's done what it was intended
We
to
could
do.
maybe add some of those drainage projects and of course add that
Yeah.
to as well with whatever sticks.
Yeah, very good. Okay, Mr. Trevino, thank you. I think, I'll recall item number 18,
Yes.
to request proposal for Zapata County Library roof repairs and allow Manuel Gonzalez Premier Engineering to prepare the specifications for the project. Mr. Gonzalez, good morning. Manuel Library, we asked you a few months ago to look at some solutions, possible solutions for that roof. That membrane roof, which is not that old, I think we might have, that's something maybe we did in the early 2000s, Commissioners, the
Oh, yeah.
membrane roof. I remember, Mr. Mario Gonzalez Davis working on that project, way back when, so it might not be 20 years old, but, it's certainly fading.
It is, Judge, and we looked at, I had an architect go to look at it, also had a contractor that's, doing the construction at the school district, and see if they would be interested in looking at it and maybe giving a recommendation as well. And, both of the architect and the contractor mentioned that the roof's, membrane is brittle, it has some tears in it, and one of the, I guess the inspector, he mentioned as the slope of the roof is going down and it's welded together, instead of welded with the overlap over the top as it's flowing down, it's welded backwards. So it holds a little bit of water.
Yeah.
And the little tear that it has, it transmits into the roof. But it is, I guess, dry and brittle, so when they walk on it, you just feel and see that it had tears in it to where neither one of them recommended repairing those tears, because they felt that it was already,
So did they recommend, replacing it with another main drain roof, or what?
but yet I had asked if it would be cheaper or, more cost effective to put in a, aluminum roof.
Fixed roof?
And, they would have to look at the framing and the support system to go upwards, because if he gave me the existing roof is a PVC type membrane with a minimum thickness, and, you know, they mentioned that it was fading in several locations. The underlayment and the insulation material are apparently fading also. Some of the parapet walls are not built up with a backup wall and may not be structurally sound, caution should be observed in walking next to the actual wall.
I'd be a little worried, concerned about adding more weight to that, to the structure. I don't know if a freestanding metal roof, would that be a consideration, Mr. Gonzalez? I mean.
It could be,
Just kind of cover the whole building with a metal roof, on its own support. I don't know if that's not possible,
No.
but.
I guess what they would end up doing is on the structure itself or adjacent to the structure, they would put some support beams, but it's still apparent that it's attached to the building, but it's really supported by a separate.
By new structures.
Yeah, a separate system. And, I can, have them explore it a little further, provide some, maybe, like a cost analysis for a new membrane roof, because the contractor or the inspector recommended putting in some, like a hardy back type of, boards on top, and then putting a new insulation over it. And, the architect did not. So there's two different methods there that, you know, we could get to,
Well, I guess we'll just move forward and see what recommendations come about.
I think just whatever we decide to do, I think it's gonna be important that whoever we hire for that project specializes in roofing. Because we've had experience in the past, where we hire other people and they just don't do a good job for us. And it's gonna be a costly project, so we need to make sure that whoever we hire.
It's a very big building.
Yeah, it's gonna be a specialty, project for sure.
both of the representatives that have brought, the architect and the contractor's rep, they both specialize, well, the architect, you know, they design the schools and design, other public buildings, government buildings. And, the contractor, they're not a general contractor, that's just strictly a roofing contract that they're currently working on. So that is.
They're the ones that are currently working on the schools?
Yes, and we make that as solely as a roofing project by itself, not with other construction. So sometimes we get a general contractor that's over.
And what product are they using on the school?
They're using a combination, foam membrane where it has, a thicker, welded membrane underneath, and then it has like a
So
also.
that product could be used on this building too?
Yes, it definitely, because the middle school is an older school and, similar to the library, it's an older structure, and it had similar type roofing, so that they kind of might be.
That might be the way to go.
That's why I asked them if they would take a look at it and, if they wanted to consider providing, some options to the county and
Nelly, we are pending, of course, some support from the insurance company, correct, on these expenses?
Yes.
Would it be proper to request proposals?
Yeah.
I think we need
I
to
think
move
so.
forward,
I think
so
we're-
that won't be informal, and let's
Sure.
request proposals.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we request, that we
I second
approve,
it.
going out for proposals and hiring, premier engineering.
Well,
firm.
Mr. Gonzalez, we asked him to work on this project a while back, Mr. Gonzalez,
Okay.
we need to.
No,
rely
we
on
don't
it,
have to.
But we.
The only thing we need to do is to go pro proposal, that's
Okay,
it.
I'll modify my motion that we go out to approve, to
second.
go out for proposals.
For the repair of, and then, you'll bring in with your recommendations
Yeah.
at the meeting, and,
Yes.
I guess in your RFP or RFQ.
Well,
you're
yeah, we'll
gonna-
have to prepare something
The
so that
type
all
of
contractors-
product that we're gonna,
Yes, we'll get with the court to make sure that the court's aware whether we're gonna go with aluminum or we're gonna go with.
I think given the fact that, I think maybe we need to decide that right now, Commissioners. If the membrane is being used at the school district and it's similar type roof that we currently have, I think that might be the least expensive way to
I
go.
think it is. I haven't run numbers on it, but I think it is because the structure's already built for it.
Yes. So maybe we could say, we're using this type product, I don't know, if we need to be that specific.
No, I
I
don't think
guess
we
if we
could.
can maybe get,
Let's get the both proposals.
What proposal?
let's
Yeah,
get
both.
two quotes on the different,
Well, I think Mr. Gonzalez will develop the specs to it,
Yes.
and then we'll go out for.
We would have to come up with something for the contractors to all bid on the same
Yes,
thing.
on the same thing.
So that they're not, they know exactly how many square feet they're bidding on, what type of material they're
Exactly.
using, and what they're gonna be putting in there.
because not all of them may be using this type of material or specializing in the use of
We
it.
had many different proposals at the school district that.
And this
came in.
company's from where, Mr. Gonzalez?
They're real roofing, so they're from the valley.
They're from the back, okay.
Well, the motion is to allow Premier Engineering to develop specs for proposals for the, I guess, roof repair of the Zapata County Library.
Second.
And seconded by
No,
Commissioner.
I second it.
By Commissioner Garza. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, sir, Commissioner.
Stay there a minute.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes, item number 24 is to repair, construct drainage channel on Flores Drive. Property has been acquired and ready for repairs. Mr. Gonzalez, and I think Commissioner Mendoza says.
This is in precinct one, Judge Commissioners, it's actually down the street from the county shop.
Yeah.
It runs, parallel to the, Medina property. So we had brought this to the court, last year, beginning of last year, I believe. And we were at the, standstill of having to acquire the property from the owner before we could consider making any improvements. So this already went through the, of course, through our county attorney, and that property has been acquired legally by us, so it now belongs to Zapata County.
Which one, Commissioner? The one from Mr. Gonzalez, Humberto?
Across the street,
Across.
across the street, next to, the Medina residence.
Oh.
Where there are damages occurring on the neighbor's property, Commissioner, erosion.
Yeah, there's a lot of severe erosion, Commissioner, there because of the speed of the water, you know, with
Medina
the force.
property, I believe.
The way the channel is designed, the water shoots out to the side, so it's actually hitting the walls on the sides as it's going through. So for that property owner, I mean, if you look at his fence, the fence is literally in the air. I mean, it's being held up by a couple of poles.
There's a
But-
section of
And,
that.
and the county bought it from him?
No,
No.
they deeded it over to us.
They needed it at no cost.
At no cost.
Because it is
It is a hazard there, it's dangerous.
it does carry quite a bit of water. It comes all the way from the pavilion area and comes down through the parts that we have heading to the school district property and then crosses Highway 16.
Yes.
Where it crosses then where Mr. Humberto Gonzalez's property is at. And then, goes through this culvert there on Flores Street. The culvert is at an angle, so when the water's coming out, it's coming out at an angle going into their embankment. And so it has washed off the embankment significantly where the fence, a section of the fence has already.
It doesn't have any
gotten torn.
concrete there, Commissioner, so, it's eroded.
So
really bad.
it's on your screen, Commissioner.
Yeah,
So you-
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then we did,
On that property, we do have a drainage easement there, Commissioner, that's why from time to time we go in there with county equipment to clean that area.
Yes.
Yeah, so, we have an easement there on that property that,
Yes.
right off of Highway 16.
we also have an easement on this one as well.
Yeah.
The county, we have prepared an exhibit, but then we formally prepared a survey, which was this one here. And then that one, we also included some, temporary construction easements on either side of the channel so that we could get in there because it is like about a 10-foot drop.
Yeah.
And, so we have that for both sides of the channel. And then those were, like Commissioner Mendoza mentioned, those were acquired by the county at no cost. They were deeded, because of, it's just, the land is not buildable, not usable, other than it's just for drainage purposes. and so it was conveyed to the county. We wish that the other owners in the community would convey the creeks in, like in other subdivisions, so that the county can, you know, sometimes maintain them. They get blocked or they get overgrowth, and it causes for the water to back up, and it causes a like flooding condition temporarily, but sometimes the water will be to the height, it's about 10 foot deep when it's going through.
And this money is gonna be coming from what?
The court had allocated some funds for this project, and so it will be coming from the funds that have been allocated already by the.
Mr. Gonzalez, from where?
I'm not sure,
Well, we hadn't specified, you know, we had said that we would approve it once, we would revisit it once the property was acquired by the county, to actually make a decision on where the funding was.
So we're at the point where we need to get some estimates and then bring those estimates to the board.
We have gotten some, Judge, Mr. Gonzalez has some numbers for us.
Yes, if we, the channel itself, we can, clear it with county crews.
Right.
We're trying to keep the cost as minimum as possible, so the channel itself, we can clear with the crews like we've done, since we do have an easement that belongs to the county now. And then, the backfilling, we can do with county crews.
Yeah.
Now, the concrete work, there are some retaining walls that need to be done, and then some concrete work that needs to be graded out. We could, the county could, acquire the materials, keep it at county cost, and then just pay for labor on that work.
Yeah.
And we were looking at the materials and labor at about $26,000,
There's
$26,400.
a 140 feet long section, right? Is that?
Yes, this one here.
And that would be, constructed on both sides
Yes.
of the channel.
This one here. So there is a section of the structure that's already there.
Yes.
And then from here to the end is the section that would be built, where it is a big drop off. If you see the profile
Yeah.
here, we would need to also bring in some retaining walls on either side to hold back the banks.
Right.
And then, once we've flattened out, we would put some energy dissipators at the end to slow down the velocity of the water and keep it from continuing to erode even further down. But this brings it to if you look at the map here, this brings it to this point right here.
Yes.
Where this property line is, that's where the limits of our easement, that's where it would bring it up to.
Commissioner, this would fall under the drainage, grant if you were to apply for it?
I mean, we could include it, Commissioner, but that grant probably wouldn't come in until about a year from now, maybe more. I think it's in a situation where, it does merit immediate action because of.
Well, the homeowner has been certainly reaching out to us for some time now.
Oh, yeah, at least 8 years, through the
And
first
it's been a
administration.
while, yes. We can look at where those monies come from, we can certainly vote on it. See, we can, once we get our reimbursement, see how our general fund is doing. I think it's a viable project, whether we do it right now or wait till use some of your discretionary funds as part of the project, Commissioner Mendoza, but those are tough discussions we can have once but I think it's important that this project, does move forward. I think, and I don't know at what point the county would be liable or not, probably not for the damage that is being caused to that homeowner. Their contention is that the county improperly, placed those.
culverts.
Yes, the culverts
Yeah.
at an angle that is damaging his property. Are we at some fault there? I mean, it's depending on who you talk to, but I think in good faith, if the county tried to alleviate the problem and the harm that's coming to his property.
Judge, I don't have no problem to vote on this one. The only problem that I have, I would like to know exactly where that money is gonna come from.
Sure.
Because I
Well,
think.
it would come from our fund balance, Commissioner. There's no, like, the commissioner might use some of his discretionary funds, if he has any available, and the remaining, he doesn't have the entire amount, I can tell you.
No, and that's why I brought it to court, Judge, because, I mean, we work with limited funding as it
Yeah.
is, so if I were to get discretionary funds, I'd be out for the year.
Yes, I know, it's one project, so I
So, I mean,
understand.
I would definitely be open to consider these types of improvements in other precincts as well, because I know Commissioner Garza has a lot of issues with arroyos
Yeah.
in his precinct, but we don't currently own those arroyos, so we can work on acquiring them.
I think it's important, that's the necessity, and we have to acquire the properties to be able to go in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll make a motion that we approve this to be paid out of the fund balance.
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Mendoza, to approve the cost estimates of, what is it,
26,400.
Okay, and seconded by Commissioner Solis. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So, okay, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Church.
Item number 25 is to approve an application to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department for funding under the Boating Access Program for improvements at the Zapata County Rat Park, and authorize the firm of Carlos Polina Vargas to prepare the application and supporting documentation. I think Commissioner Solis, I think you've been working on this project, trying to upgrade the boat ramp and its facilities there. And I did speak to Mr. Carlos Polina Vargas, and he's ready to proceed. There's a limited timeline for this grant application.
Our deadline is actually February 1st.
Yes.
And it was, recently bumped up to $1 million as well. I've been in contact with him, and, you know, as we all know, the boat ramp is a hot spot for fishermen, and with that comes wear and tear on the boat ramp, and, you know, especially the water levels going up and down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we would like to actually open up the boat ramp, maybe possibly add an extra one on the side. You know, maybe, we can also build a runoff water diversion barrier to keep the mud from coming onto the boat ramps. You know, to
It
avoid
has been a
problems
problem,
that,
yes, and heavy
to avoid
rains.
what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
You know, so there's multiple options that we can upgrade, on the boat ramp. You know, adding fish cleaning stations, you know, that would be also viable for the fishermen.
Have we added a fish cleaning station? I remember talking about that at one time. We had approved
We-
some monies for
Well,
that.
we thought about it, Commissioner, but given the maintenance that it would require,
Okay,
I guess
so
daily maintenance.
we
of-
didn't do it because I remember us discussing it and approving
It was
something.
gonna, we felt it might become an unsightly mess there after a while with, fish decomposing.
Yeah.
And if we don't, so we decided not to move forward with that. And it is a problem because there's maybe a lack of running water, who's gonna be doing the daily maintenance, so,
I think Commissioner Solis brings up some good points. Of course, we rely a lot on that funding that comes in from the fishermen who visit us here in Zapata, so. And I know that Mr. Solis has a couple of constituents, which are fishing guides, that bring these issues to his attention
Sure.
constantly.
Correct.
and-
Yeah, they contacted me, on a daily basis, but which I agree, you know, we do need to upgrade it, you know, we need to put some hands onto it, you know, upgrade it and keep it up to par.
Maybe widen that
Yes.
drop off there to allow more than one boat.
And then,
at a time.
of course, I think maybe an extra weight for our grant application is that Homeland Security uses that,
Yes.
and then Texas Parks and Wildlife has a significant presence in our county.
Yes.
So maybe that can be incorporated into the multiple use of that area, not only for leisure or, you know, sportsmen, but also it's used daily by our Homeland Security.
Correct.
I'll make a motion that we approve
second.
25 as presented.
Just, a motion by Commissioner Mendoza, seconded by Commissioner Garza, just, the application required a 25% match from the county, Commissioner. So if you're looking at applying for $1 million, if we receive the funding, the county will be responsible for $250,000.
Can we use in kind?
Some of it can be used in kind, yes.
From house labor, equipment, materials,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
we can.
Okay. But whatever, I don't think we have $1 million worth of improvements there.
No.
I'm thinking maybe
Just
200,000.
whatever's necessary.
Okay.
You don't have $1 million within the rules, but there is I think the idea of maybe adding a second ramp.
Second ramp.
If- On this picture here,
Yeah.
I don't know from what date it was, but I'm assuming it was a fishing tournament. There's 107 or 108, trucks with trailers. You know, here, up here, in this area, and all three.
Yeah.
And so for all of them to try to, you know, load out on one dock is,
Very
it's an
time-consuming.
undertaking because
Yeah.
you have over 100 fishermen in that
And
tournament.
that's why a lot of them get there extremely early as well, because they know that, you know, they have to unload.
And the way the ramp is set up right now, there's, access for at least 3 at one time. It's wide enough, but it has deteriorated, so
Yes.
a lot of it has to be replaced. But the ramp actually is
It's
very,
good. Yeah, the one we have is good, it's just, when you have, we
Yes.
have, often we have tournaments because of the Falcon Lake and the interest of the fishermen, and there is, usually on those tournaments, there's over 100 fishermen trying to get in.
yeah, but a lot of it has deteriorated to the point where it is, needs to be replaced. And the Commissioner mentioned, a back wall to.
Yes, sir. And also not to mention, you know, all the boats that have been damaged, you know, because of the water levels going up and down. You know, we've had several boats, you know, been
Yeah,
severely
those,
damaged.
yeah, those boats unfortunately are being damaged, further up the creek on that old 83 bridge.
Oh,
Yeah.
And, that's something that, Commissioner, we've been dealing with. It's, IBWC, Lake, of course, International Body Water Commission Lake. We believe that they should take care of that situation, that old bridge, but nobody seems to want to, take ownership of that old bridge. And especially right now, it is very dangerous there.
We might be able to maybe, request to see if we can put a buoy.
We have in the past at county expense, and, you know, hired divers, well, actually fire department divers, strapped on those buoys, and a day later they're gone. You know, we have people that rather have, you know, they just do damage to them, and so we did it several times. I don't know if we can have something permanent on there, but as far as buoys, they don't last about a day or two.
Well,
It's unfortunate, I mean.
to remove it is too costly because you have to get out there with a barge.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, maybe putting in, like something permanent, like a pile or a marker, like maybe a water level marker that, you know, IBWC and other entities can use as well, like it go up to maybe 310 feet or 320 feet, but then have the markings at the level of the water, you know.
That's an idea that possibly.
Then people know that where that pole is, it's also where the bridge is. Just,
That's
the way
something
it's
that,
done is
yeah.
the pole
But
and
the
the
buoys,
line.
we tried the buoys, strapping them on, and they don't last.
Yeah, I know, because Sister Shore says that.
This vandalism, it doesn't make sense, but they don't last. All right, Commissioner, so, I need a motion.
Yeah.
It was Mendoza.
Mendoza, Garza.
Mendoza to approve, and Garza, and Garza second, and, we'll also, hire the firm of Carlos Colina Vargas, and, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 26 is to approve the submission and an application from Zapata County to Texas Parks and Wildlife Department for a grant from that agency's boat ramp site, and authorize the firm of Carlos Colina Vargas to prepare the application.
Motion move.
Motion by Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Mendoza. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item, number 27 is to request the approval of $25,000 for a COVID-19 rapid testing machine. It's a Gene Expert Express system or similar from the Tobacco Fund. Sheriff Del Bosque, good morning, Sheriff.
Morning.
Before you start, Sheriff, Judge, I looked into this, we can spend the money on this.
Okay.
And looking, I have an email to Mira Sutton with DSHS. Just to clarify, we can spend on it, it's just whether we can get reimbursed on it, which I think we can, I just wanna make sure that we can. It's one of the things that we can get reimbursed on. To spend on it, we can spend on it from the tobacco fund. That's not,
And it may
that's
not
not the
qualify for
issue.
reimbursement.
Yes, correct.
Reimbursement from,
From the tobacco fund. Because we spend, monies on things that are health related, then at around this time, we submit, all the things that we spend on it, we get reimbursed a percentage of it. So we can't spend on it. From what I'm reading on this, frequently asked questions, one of them is screening, and I think this would qualify as screening, so it seems like it would.
To me, it's health-related, it can't be any more
Right.
health-related than
Yes,
what we're going through right
and
now.
reading all these things, there's nothing that has to do with COVID on there, because of, I guess, the newness of it. So I'll have an email to that lady. that-
Okay.
Judge, I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Garza to approve the purchase of the machine, second by Commissioner Solis. And this, how many texts can we?
I'll handle like CNAs that are in our department already, Judge.
Okay.
And, it's just a matter of them getting trained. And, what we'll be using this as well is as a source of revenue with our federal partners as we're receiving federal inmates.
Right, so it's important.
Is this
that-
reimbursable, Sheriff? We can actually bill the marshals for this service?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm working on that in the new IDA program. And with that, they're asking for this program, and they will cover and pay for it, and in return, we'll be generating revenue.
And what about the supplies that would be needed to run this testing? Will that come out of your budget, or how?
Yes,
how would
it'll
that
come
work?
out of our budget, and we'll gladly, build marshals as well as provide testing to the community that's employed by Zapata County. If, let's say you have a positive at your precinct and you want them to get checked right on the spot, you can send them here to the multipurpose room and we'll check them to avoid the county any further expense.
What kind of testing is it?
It's a molecular test, Commissioner, and it's a swab, nasal swab, and within 20 to 25 minutes, we'll have the result.
Is it similar to the school district?
I believe so.
You know, the school district, they started maybe 2 months ago, and it's been very beneficial to the school
Yes.
district.
And all those supplies can be, probably, reimbursable to the tax.
That is correct.
And this will be, also, the machine will be available to all county employees? or-
Yeah.
The one here, Judge, yes, because it'll be accessible through the multipurpose room
Okay.
here at the female jail. The regional jail, our infirmary is further inward, and there's a lot of,
Also, these are two, right?
Yes.
Two, that's-
Oh,
okay.
it's two machines, okay,
Yes.
for both jails? One
Yes,
for each
that's
jail.
correct.
Okay.
All right, okay,
Now,
very
see you
good.
there.
All right, Commissioners, I got a motion and a second, Commissioner Gatsa and Commissioner Solis, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 28 is to approve a resolution for grant Operation Stone Garden, OPSG 3672904 for fiscal year 2020, for the amount of $324,675 for overtime.
Motion to
Approve the-
So is it 2021 or
21.
2020? So we are being reimbursed, you're asking?
No, we're gonna start working this one, Judge. Remember, Stone Garden is
It's 1 year.
1 year behind, okay,
Behind.
all right. So-
Garza.
Motion by Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Mendoza. Any discussion? Is this an increase over this year?
Yes, it was a slight increase, Judge. We'll be able to get 2 new units as well as a mobile radio and overtime and possibly
This number came from
from the,
Homeland Security?
yes, from the office.
Because I did request, a congressman to up that figure considerably, maybe to $500,000, but,
That would be for the 2021, Judge.
okay, all right. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 29, I think, is this the same item, Commissioners, as 27?
To approve the purchase of a COVID-19 testing machine?
I think it is, Judge.
It's the same, yes, okay.
Yeah.
We'll just,
No
no
action.
action on 29, which is to approve a purchase of a COVID-19 testing machine from the tobacco fund.
Yeah.
So we've taken care of that one,
Yeah.
no action.
Just to get item.
And then the number 30 is to approve, to start accepting bids for the conversion of 3 negative pressure cells at the regional jail, and Sheriff Bosque is requesting that.
What this is about, Judge, is the same thing, it works hand in hand with the machines. And, what I was looking into is possibly using the COVID funds, and that's to testing our inmates. And, within our new agreement, the marshals are requesting to perform outbound testing and also support corresponding outbound quarantine to their inmates, which that will make it our facility will be one of the prime locations for us to house federal inmates and for them to be quarantined safely and for the employees to be safe as well.
So these, cells would be for those that test positive then?
No, Judge, as they're coming in, the ones that
Yeah,
test
they be
negative
tested.
will be moved into a segregation cell. And then after that, within a day or two, they're into population.
Even if they come already tested negative, they still need to be quarantined?
The thing is, with the changes in everything that's going on, Judge, we might have to head to different locations, which is border patrol stations and CBP facilities, and pick up inmates there.
And when we talk about negative pressure cells, is this basically air conditioning or changing?
What it is, Judge, is a separate air system, which extracts air from the inside of those cells outward and bring it in clean air from the outside.
So it's a pretty sophisticated system.
Yes, Judge.
So it completely bypasses your HVAC system right now?
It'll be separate from the whole facility.
And how many inmates can you fit in each cell, Sheriff?
Right now,
So
with,
if you have 3 rooms, how many inmates total would you be able to?
it would be
isolate?
20 inmates.
20 inmates at one time?
Yes.
To quarantine them.
That is correct. The optimal thing would be 4 cells, but I know we're in a budget crunch, and we can revisit the other cell later, at a later date, they can make
Do
it.
you think
accessible.
once the vaccine is maybe it might take the entire
Right.
year,
That is correct.
everyone be vaccinated, that there may be a need for these cells in the future?
Oh, with that, Judge, they work against tuberculosis, any other SARS, any other strep, any other flu. Within the near future, when we have somebody that's sick, we'll put them in there automatically. So it'll be used all the
They'll
time.
be used.
Would we have to bid this out just because of the amount of?
I'm suggesting I think it's a pretty sophisticated system, I think we probably need to bid this out.
We only have one quote on here?
I was gonna ask, do you know what the price difference is more or less between having 3 rooms and 4 rooms?
Yes, the difference, would be close to $82,000 between 3 to 4.
Because right now, we only have this quote to look at, Sheriff?
Yes.
We have one quote, and Attorney, I don't think we should reveal that quote, but I don't know if we can move forward with it, with one quote, given the amount that,
Right.
the bid was. It's certainly above our bidding requirements.
Mhm.
So.
And that's been there for quite a while, since we started
Yeah.
building the first negative pressure cell that
Okay.
you all granted us a couple years back,
Yeah.
like in 2014.
Well, I mean, I guess we can bid it out, I mean, if that's
Let's
what
bid it out,
that's
see
what
what
it
comes back,
requires.
and maybe
Sheriff,
we'll
to my
have some
understanding,
funds
you
to-
have, inmates pending already?
We have inmates pending from Hidalgo County, which I requested 50 and $55 per inmate.
And they are waiting for the
Per day.
negative pressure cells?
And they are waiting for negative pressure cells, and then we are submitting the IGA, explaining to them what we're doing to our facility, which will probably, God willing, help us to 70 to 75.
So, Sheriff, so all other, regional jails facilities already have these cells in place?
No, they don't, that's why they're having a hard time, keeping inmates and, having a hard time containing the virus. And a lot of their employees are getting infected with inmates. It's just making it safer for our employees and as well for our inmates, and, providing a.
I mean, I don't have a problem with, I just don't know that we can legally approve
I don't know if we
it
can
because
afford it.
it doesn't meet the bidding requirements.
I think we'd have to go out, officially for bids, commissioners, and not award a bid, one single.
Okay.
I know you got a quote a few months ago, I don't know.
I just provided it, just
Yeah,
to
just to have an
baseline.
estimate as to what it would cost, yeah.
Mhm. And
So,
it's just so you all can see, like Mr. Gonzalez asked, the difference.
I think we can go out for bids, commissioners, I think that'd be a fair.
I think we definitely need them, we can go off from this.
Well, I'll make a motion to go out for bid.
I second that.
Motion by Commissioner
We'll get working on
Gatsa
that, Sheriff, as soon as we get those
to,
bids coming in.
request bids on, the conversion of, 3 negative pressure cells at the regional jail, seconded by Commissioner Solis. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Judge, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Sheriff.
We have a resolution, Commissioners, to approve the resolution for grant, Operation Stone Guard.
Motion to approve that.
I second it.
Commissioner Mendoza, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll
Motion
make a motion
carried.
to go.
Motion by Commissioner Gatsa to adjourn.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Second by Commissioner Mendoza. We are now adjourned. Thank you, Commissioners. Be safe.
Nos vemos.